That's so funny that I love to sing. I just want to get the record straight on that one because I do love to sing for the Lord, not on stages, but my 4 daughters actually are singers. So, and they have perfect 4-part harmony, which is amazing. So it's not me. So that is something we just want to make sure. And after you said that, yes, I do talk a lot, don't I? So I am here to talk to you this morning and welcome all of you to Navigating Motherhood, second semester, second week. Amazing. We had a full house yesterday, and I hear we've got 25 new moms this second semester. So welcome. I know I met a few of you here today, so welcome here. And we're just going to have some fun together. Every week you get a different topic. And this morning, it's one of my favorite topics, something I love to talk about, and that is etiquette and manners for children. So that should be very, very fun, and it just never stops. So we're going to share some of our journey with you together as well. As you saw with my family picture, and it's just very strange because this is my daughter Charlotte's fairy tale wedding, and I've never had a daughter here when I've taught before, and she just showed up. So she's sitting here, and she drove all night from Las Vegas, and I'm just anyway, so I got a little emotional. This was her fairy tale wedding, one of the best days of our lives, and those are my 4 princesses there in the wedding, and just amazing because we are empty nesters now for the first time this year. That's new to us. And we, with Charlotte, we got a son with Logan, our son-in-law. And really, to have a man who is so kind and loves people and so considerate, it was a joy to give our daughter to him in marriage. And he's a paramedic firefighter. His care for others even comes out in his career as well. So we got our son, not like some of you, but we got him adopted, and we are thrilled to have him. So with that, those 4 princesses I mentioned, they're all trained and they're all launched. They are out of the house, and we're going to just talk about some of the tips and tricks my husband and I, over 33 years, have used. And it wasn't easy at first, for sure. You'll hear my fails, and you'll hear some of the tips that worked as well this morning. So that should be fun. But first, I wanted to read you something that a son wrote about his mom. And this is called We Had a Really Mean Mom by Mike Doyle. Okay, so here we go. While other kids ate candy for breakfast, we had to have cereal, eggs, and toast. When others had a Pepsi or a Twinkie for lunch, we had to eat sandwiches. And you can guess our mother fixed us dinner that was different from what other kids had too. Mother insisted on knowing where we were at all times. You'd think we were convicts in a prison. She had to know who our friends were and what we were doing with them. She insisted that if we said we were gone for an hour, we would be gone for an hour or less. We were ashamed to admit, but she had the nerve to break the child labor laws by making us work. We had to wash dishes, make the beds, learn to cook, vacuum the floor, do the laundry, and all sorts of cruel jobs. I think she would just lie awake at night thinking of more things for us to do. She always insisted on us telling the truth. By the time we were teenagers, she could read our minds. Then life was really tough. Mother wouldn't let our friends just honk the horn when they drove up. They had to come to the door so she could meet them. While everyone else could date when they were 12 or 13, we had to wait until we were 16. Because of our mother, we missed out on lots of things other kids experienced. None of us were ever caught shoplifting, vandalizing other people's property, or being arrested for any crime. It was all her fault. Now that we've left home, we're all God-fearing, educated, honest adults. We're doing our best to be mean parents, just like our mom was. I think that's what's wrong with the world today. It just doesn't have enough mean moms anymore. So I just thought that was so cute, and it's by a son. His name is Mike Doyle. And really, it resonated with me because today we're going to have a little training on how to be that kind of mean mom, right? And it really helped me reflect back because I was raised by a mean stepfather, and I was blessed by that. And when I was about 9 years old, he started raising me. He was a colonel in the Air Force, and he was a pilot for Air Force One that flew the presidents of the United States. So you can imagine, and I was the only child in the home in Washington, D.C. I was his little soldier, his cadet. So not only was I learning the military, operations at that time, but I also needed to be very careful with my etiquette, because at his level, he would entertain many different commanders and things in the military, and he was trained by the best in the world because he would meet dignitaries and kings from all over the world as he flew the president. So talk about high pressure. But it paid off for me, because really for me, in terms of my communication, my relationship building, and ultimately my success, really came from those early years of having those tight rails. And I knew he did it because he loved me, for sure. And that was over time. It didn't feel loving at first, but really over time it was just an incredible experience. So today we're going to just look at a couple of things at your tables. Hopefully, can you check? You each should have 2 pieces of paper, and it looks like you may. One is your worksheet. We're going to work through that worksheet today, and the other is a 3-page tip guide. So anything I don't get to, you have a little take-home kit, and if you'll keep it side by side, we will be actually going between the two. And but the main thing is, let's get that worksheet done. So you may see me talking faster and faster, and just be with me. That's why, because we're going to get through that tip sheet. So is everyone ready to go then? Okay, it's like on your mark. So we're going to look at a few definitions first. And the first definition we're going to look at is the golden rule. How many of you have ever heard of the golden rule? It's what many rules in society are made from, and it actually is what etiquette was based on. So let's write it down like this: the golden rule. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Now, this is from the Bible, and you can write down Luke 6:31. Jesus said these words as a command to us to do to others as we would have them do to you. The other one like it, if you can write down, it's not on the slide, is love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. And that's found in the book of Mark 12:31, again, Jesus' words or command to us. And when we talk about neighbor, this isn't who we moved in next door to. This is the person sitting beside you right now. This is your family at the dinner table. This is anyone you come in contact is your neighbor. And we are to consider and love them as ourselves. Now, as human beings, have you guys noticed we don't have any trouble thinking about ourselves? I don't know about you guys. That seems to be a natural thing. And look at your children. It's always they're thinking about, I'm hungry, my diapers, whatever. Everything is all about them, right? So that's just a natural thing we think about ourselves. What's different is that you as moms have to train to take that focus off themselves and to put it on who? Others. Yes, interactive crowd, fantastic. So others, or I'll ask you a few questions so you can just shout it out. You guys that know me will, right? So others or your neighbor. So that's really important because they're not thinking that way, are they? They're just busy with what's going on. So that's very important. Let's look at the second definition, which is etiquette, and we'll write it down like this: making a choice to show kind and considerate behavior. Making a choice to show kind and considerate behavior. So, for example, when I think of how I may love myself or someone that I may know in my family, they love to chew with their mouth open, having their mouth full. So they tell me it aerates their food. I don't know if you guys have any of those. So they personally really enjoy chewing with their mouth open. Now, on the other side of the table, right, to get that person to consider others and the experience that others are having, knowing that we don't want to see that cow cud situation going on, right? It's important that they make the choice for kind and considerate behavior because they're not focused on their enjoyment. They're focused on, one more time, whose? The others. Oh, you guys, Friday's nailing it. Okay, thank you. Exactly. They're focused on others' behavior. So it's really one of those things that we want to look at. Good manners is our next definition, and we'll write it down like this. Behaviors based on respect and care for others. Behaviors based on respect and care for others. So just show me with your hands from that thought, do you think in society right now that respect and care for others has increased or decreased? Let me see. Oh, interesting. I don't see any thumbs up. So this, if we took this as a statistic, I had the 8 out of 10 really feel like this is a national epidemic, that etiquette and manners and care for others has gone by the wayside. In this room right now, it's 100% that's the case. Just knowing that in society, everything's fast-paced and technical, and people are, it's dog eat dog, and it's me, and my, and that's really who can get ahead in the game. And that really is what we have to fight against. It's very, very hard to train your children with etiquette and good manners. You're fighting uphill, right? But it's worth it. It really is. So it may be tough, but just put your soldier commander outfit on, and we can do this. So I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why that effort is worth it, all right? So this is the 5 reasons in your blanks why this effort is worth it, and just success areas that we found in our family as a result of really teaching etiquette and manners. So the first one is friendships. So friendships are very, very critical. I know right now when you have infants, it's hard to see, and friendships are more important with moms with babies, in that sense, but not for, your little one. But as you get to the 3, plus age, those friendships are important mainly to have them interact like at a playground, to just make sure that your child is being kind and considerate. Going to a playground isn't about their own enjoyment. It should be a training ground versus a playground for you. And I know you don't want to be like a nagging mom, but that is the place that you're going to be able to train up to let the other person go before them on the slide, and to not, throw the sand in the person's eyes because, gee, that hurts. What if it was in your eyes? So all of those things, very, very important for friendships. And I'll just tell you, you want your friends to be friends with good kids, right? Those play dates that they're going on to other people's houses, you want them to be the good kids. And so your child acting with a sense of humility and love and care for others also attracts other moms to your child to invite them over for play dates and so forth. I always went for I would volunteer in the room and look for the kids that were really good, and they would be invited for play dates at my house. So, sorry. All right, so number 2 is relationships with teachers. Relationships with teachers, and actually all adults, is a huge success factor because adults are overlooked now. I mean, really, if you're not on TikTok, you may not be cool. I'm not on TikTok, and I don't sing. So both. But the relationships with teachers, it's really more that the child is attentive, that I did teach my girls to be teachers' pets. I'll just admit it. I was a teacher's pet. I sat right up front like a good soldier. I raised my hand. I had eye contact. I would do all my nonverbals and encourage them. And really, it's a critical skill that your children have, because interacting with others and teachers really helps the teacher to feel respected and to pour into your child, and ultimately for recommendation letters in high school and all of those things, and even we've had petitioning for grades, those things. It's important to have that relationship with a teacher. They love kids. That's why they're in that role. So let's have them help us in parenting. The third one is teamwork. Teamwork's even more important now in school with the core curriculum. Everything is group-based, and there's a lot of strong personalities. Your child needs to be able to interact with different personalities, get along well, defer, and even handle conflict management. And all of those things are helped if they have that self-control and they're taught that in the home to be able to do that. Collaboration and teamwork are huge in business right now. If someone can't get along with people, they're just not nearly as successful. Speaking of success, job success is number 4. And I know it seems weird, like, Susan, please, like we're trying to figure out what binky to use. And now here you're talking about job success. And you just know it's a blink of an eye. It literally is a blink of an eye. I know with Charlotte that's sitting here, I was zipping up her little princess dress at 3 and then zipping up her wedding dress. And I was like, I even had a comparison picture because it's just a blink of an eye. It goes so, so fast. From a job success standpoint, your child needs to submit to authority. And really, we're finding in the workplace today, the person who's always subversive and talking about their boss and how terrible they are and so forth, they won't succeed. There needs to be respect and there needs to be submission to authority. And also, for job promotions and success, it's going to be the person that can get along with others. And not only the person that can get along with others, as a business coach, I'm working with executives to select the talent, the people who have followership. What I mean by followership is the people who people automatically want to follow without title. And those people are the ones that really succeed and get the promotion. So just an important aspect, it's all based in etiquette and manners, which is just crazy enough. The last one, and I say last, but I did add a 6, so forgive me, but having a peaceful, happy home. Let's have a peaceful, happy home. It's going to take some work. You're going to get some pushback, and you're going to do it anyway because you love those little bitties so much. The 6th one I just added into this was marriage and dating. Definitely from a marriage and dating standpoint, the boys, like first, no honking, hello, no texting to run out for a date. You're definitely going to come up to the door and meet us. And I was the mean mom, and John was the mean dad that said 16. So those were definitely our rules. But as a result of that, really the manners of the boys and the care of others was huge for us. And not only that, from a marriage standpoint, I found after 33 years of marriage, my most important job is to encourage my husband and think of him and what his needs are, because I could think of myself all day long. I mean, I easily could. But my job is to think about him and to put my focus on him as my main relationship. So it's another reason that that it is very, very important for that. So this morning, we're going to suggest 3 different areas that you train up etiquette and manners, and we'll write those down as well. The 3 different areas are respecting adults. And I already mentioned the respecting adults part and how it, again, has gone by the wayside. Really, really critical. We'll talk about a few of those techniques. The second one is basic table manners. And that's hard once you've started. It's hard to shift, but we'll talk about some things. I get to train executives and salespeople in basic table manners sometimes when companies want me to, so they could entertain clients. And it's amazing. 80% of those people have never had any training in business etiquette and so forth. In case we don't get to it, just for your little purposes, you guys can write down under that BMW or to the side BMW, like the car. This is not for your kids. But it helped me because I would always steal someone's bread plate or water. So B is bread, M is meal, and W is water. So when you sit down at a place, you know whose is whose, and you don't need to steal. There you go. So that is, in case we don't get to it, that's what. And the third part is play date and party essentials. Play date and party essentials. And I just have to tell you guys, I love that one so much. And those of you that know me, I'm pretty festive, right? I think I've done 100 birthday parties at this point. But the reason I smile about Playdate and Party Essentials is because this was the turning point for my husband and I in our life on when we realized and decided, oh my goodness, we better train on manners. And it was through a horrific birthday party. It was one for the books, for sure. After 7 years of wedded bliss and a few, very difficult losses that we had, Shannon arrived on the scene and we had a baby, and she was perfect, absolutely perfect, the apple of our eye, the smartest, the sharpest, all of that, right? We bought the TV news camera that you put on your shoulder to just video everything she did. We got it all on film, right? And what happened with that, with all of her grandparents' attention and our attention, by the time she got to 3, we were going to have the public birthday party and invite all the, little 3-year-olds and their parents and grandparents, and it was huge. So you can imagine the present table. You guys know the present table, and it's stacked up and so forth, and it's a little crazy. And the decorations were awesome, and the food, perfect, right? Everything, even for now, photo opportunities was great. But our missing and our horror was that when we just didn't really have a plan for the party and we set her down with her little princess tiara on next to that big stack of gifts, guess what happened? She went flipped, and was not flipped in that way, but we let her open them, and she was ripping them open and throwing them over, cards unopened. There's all these handmade cards and things. Grandparents' clothes went by the wayside, and we couldn't stop it. From a reacting standpoint, we're like, oh, okay, gift time over. And I know a lot of parents decide, don't do gifts. And no way. I think opening gifts is so critical, because teaching your child to give, to wrap that gift, to make that personal card for a birthday party and consider others is huge. And for them to get excited for the birthday boy or girl to open their gift is huge. So what really that meant to us was, oh my goodness, we have to fix her. Right? We need to fix her. So when she went into the restroom and came back out modeling her, it's all about me PJs, right? We're like, no, it is not. Oh my goodness. And it was us to blame. We had made it all about her from that. And we just realized, oh, okay, we need to shift. So I had the idea, and I said to my husband, hey, honey, they checked me into church when I was, little. Let's check Shannon into church and fix her. And he's like, awesome. Let's do that. So we found a church and we checked her in. And the blessing was that it fixed us, not fixed her, because we found there was a parent group similar to this with Navigating Motherhood called Growing Kids God's Way. And in going through week after week of training on behavior and etiquette and manners and all of those things, it really just changed our home, for good. By that time, Charlotte had arrived on the scene, and she was perfect too. She still is, but she wasn't talking yet, so we just had to focus on Shannon. But really, that course and us going to the weekend services and so forth really created a shift where the Bible we used at the centerpiece of our home. It was amazing to us, just like you saw the golden rule coming from the Bible, that literally God has a lot to say about how we treat others. And he's very specific about how we treat others. And so here we have this book, and we really made that the guidebook for our life. And it really changed things for us forever. So we're so thankful about that. So in that, we really needed to get out of the spin of being reactive. If that makes sense with you guys, do you feel sometimes like you're naggers? Raise your hand. You can admit it. Okay, just me? Okay, naggers, threatening, just you're a tape going on and on and on. And you're just like, I just can't stand to hear myself speak anymore. That's reactive because things are happening to us and we're like, oh, we didn't expect that. But really, I want you to write down on your worksheet, proactive parenting is a must. Proactive parenting. What I really hope that you gain from this Navigating Motherhood program and, pieces this morning is that at every age and stage, if you can be just a little bit ahead of your child, just a little bit ahead, that's going to help you from reacting and being caught like I was, just completely shocked. I mean, really, if I wouldn't have worried about the food and decorations and I had focused on her and how we were going to work that party, that would have been a whole nother ball game. So really just know that being a little bit ahead here is going to help you. And I love having mentor moms and leaders here as wisdom of people who have gone before you and experienced a lot, where you guys can talk about things and it will save you an incredible amount of time. So with that, we're going to look at 4 R's this morning, where we're really going to camp for a while. 4 R's of methods that you can use to implement different manners and etiquette into your own home. Now, I just do want to caution that this isn't a solo sport. I really want you and your husband to align on this, and you probably have different backgrounds that you came from. I know for John and I, his mom was very good with table manners, but she used the fork stabbing method. And and she's like Martha Stewart. She's amazing. But at the same time, you know, there were different times, different places. And it was just a threat, not an actual stab. So you and your husband really need to align on what you're going to tackle, because there's so many different things. So you'll just pick a few. It's okay. You can just really decide, as long as you're ahead of the curve for that age and stage, what you're going to use and do. So as I speak to you this morning, it may not be for your 3-year-old, it may be for your 7-year-old. So you and your husband can talk about that. The great news is this: Navigating Motherhood talks are all online on YouTube. So you can sit down, and for you to go over your notes and take that 3-page guide and just decide in each category, those 3 categories, a couple of things that you are going to implement. In that sense, you may be the trainer, but it's really nice to get his support in that training and to make sure you're on the same page. We do have a ministry, Thrive, where it's a husband and wife ministry for young marrieds as well. We were over the age limit on that one, but so there are other resources too. So your first R, you ready? Rehearsing is your first R, rehearsing. So this is why it's proactive, is that you're going to do things before. So after my situation that I mentioned to you, then we rehearsed before birthday parties. And rehearsal can be your play, but we're going to rehearse. So instead of playing anything else, we're going to decide, and I really put a design more toward others for the birthday party. The tiara was no longer on my child, but the design was putting the tiara on the magic word of the day, other person. Yes, are you guys table 1? 2, yes, table 2, victory for table 2. So on the other person. So the crown or tiara is going to go on the other person. One of the things we did with that rehearsing is that I would put different things in boxes. I didn't wrap it, but just different things in boxes and have them ready. But we'd have a giver chair. So there's the birthday girl chair up front, and then next to it is the giver chair. So the giver chair is that there's no table of presents. There's not. I would even hide them in another room. But when it was time for presents, each child would get their own, and they would sit down, and then they would get to come up one by one and sit in the giver chair. And we did grandparents' gifts separate before as a little warm-up, and then grandparents got to see both. But that way grandparents weren't in the mix, or the child who made the beautiful little something isn't going to be embarrassed that they didn't give an iPad. Does that make sense? The bigger gifts are kind of separate. So, okay, I could go on party all day long, so sorry. Okay, I'm going to get back to giver chair. So with the giver chair, in that we would take a picture. So for thank you cards, you've got a memory, because moms, as you know, with a big party, what just happened? You're trying to get the cake and put out the food. But that way, for the thank you cards, which were always required for my daughters to make, even if they couldn't write, even if it was a handprint, didn't matter. They would have a picture. And we would include that in the thank you note. You know, we got a little overboard with arts and crafts. You don't need to do those things as minimum. The point is rehearse. Now, when you get a duplicate gift, what do? Your son got 2 battleships. So it's just like, oh, I love Battleship. Now all 4 of us can play, right? You have to think of things that they can say, I love this so much. Oh, that's great. Even though it's the second one they opened. So because then there's an embarrassment for others. So again, it's always thinking about that from that perspective. So rehearsing can be done even for like trick or treat or Fall Fest. We would practice, behind different doors. Here at our Fall Fest, we have thousands of people in game booths. They have to go up and then they get candy. And literally, they can't get that candy unless there's the magic words, the please and the thank you. And they're not going to take the whole thing. But all of those things are great things to rehearse. Don't let them just happen to you and then be reactive. So rehearsal is a must. I like to rehearse before the mall. Okay, we're going to open doors. So you put your body against it when there's an adult behind you. And on the elevator, because they love to push those buttons, but let's let people out first. So all of those things are rehearsing. What I want to show you on this next slide is a fill in the blank, and it's the kind of science behind rehearsing. With rehearsing, their body, they're doing it, right? They're doing it. Most of the time, you guys are telling, and they're hearing it auditorily. So typically, children can't, or adults, I'm sorry, so not just children, adults are less. 10 to 20% we actually retain by hearing auditorily. Now, when you put seeing with it, then the 30% with seeing, then you're, at more of a 50% what I can see and hear. But when you get their body involved in doing, you've got a 90% retention rate because they've done that before. And it's not just, silences their distracted mind, if that makes sense. So in that blank, did you guys fill in 90? Okay, fantastic, good. So that was our first R. You ready for your second R? Give me an R. It is reminding. Reminding. All right, reminding is a good thing. And your car time, your seatbelt time is always the reminding, right? Not, I told you so many times. Forget that whole thing. You will tell your children things again and again and again, just like you do in any relationship, just like when you work with coworkers. You need to remind. And you will remind. Don't think of it as a negative thing. You're going to remind. And this is just what we do. And so in reminding, I just want you to watch your tone, okay? So no reminding them of the bad situation. That last birthday party was a disaster, so I don't want that to happen anymore. That's not the reminding, okay? We want to remind the behavior we're looking for and caring for others and how we're going to make those guests feel like royalty, right? How are we going to make those guests feel like royalty? So with that, your tone is critical, that you keep a gentle tone. Now, Sharon can probably tell us much more than I can, but I was told that whatever you say from a correction standpoint, if you say it with a smile, that it really has it's different for the child, that you'll just say, so we don't want to do that anymore. And so Sharon could tell us about that, but reminding, please just make sure your tone's correct and use those certain car times or times in private to remind. You also may need to remind in public. It's okay when introducing to an adult and they're saying thank you. You may have to say, what do you say? And that's all right, but not, what do you say? It's not a reflection of you. As moms, do we all know that this is a difficult task? And just seeing a mom take on this duty of giving these rails in love to children where they can grow to care about others, you respect it. You really do respect it. So don't feel like you have to get them in control, but just continue to be peaceful and patient. Okay, sorry. The third R, so many things are going through my head right now. The third R is reinforcing. Reinforcing. So reinforcing is about repeating or deleting. So right next to that, repeat or delete. When I work with employees to help develop their skills, then it typically is, really the things that they're doing incredibly well, and then those areas for improvement. So same thing with kids. It's not like positive and negative reinforcement. It's going to feel negative because you definitely have to have boundaries and rules, and kids really like that. So there are going to be positive and negative rewards. Now, with reinforcement here, it's not like like potty training with the jelly beans or the sticker chart with chores. I mean, I had like a NASA chart. It was so complicated with the 4 girls on what we were going to do. With this reinforcement on manners and etiquette, it's important to catch your child doing it right. And at that moment, that, smile, that looking in their eyes like, honey, look how that made that person feel. You did such a great job. And not loudly, but just one-on-one with your child, that reinforcement, that smile, catch them doing that right, please, 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 because it really builds that desire to continue to please you. The negative reinforcement, it's a bummer. It just happens. I mean, it gets bigger over time. I mean, for us, it ends up being cars and phones and laptops. So really for you guys, if it's a favorite toy or not going to that next event or, cutting the next part-time short, whatever it is, but there will be negative reinforcements. It's important to reinforce. The last one is my favorite, which is reflecting. And this is one I find that parents don't use as much as I would like them to. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on reflecting. So with reflecting, of course, reflecting in listening is repeating things back, and it's like looking in a mirror. But this is different. Reflecting in this is after the party, after the park date. You're in the car, and you're going to ask questions to your child about what they experienced and about what you experienced. So you're going to notice certain things, and then you'll be asking them questions. This technique on reflecting is about pulling from your child. What do we typically do with our children? Push. Right? We're pushing, change this, we're pushing. But this time, we're pulling out of them insight about things that happened. I'll give you an example, and this is more of a teenage example, but it was a aspect of reflecting. So one of my daughters and I were shopping at Forever 21. You know how moms and daughters shop. Now, my daughters are like the fashion police. They have so much style. So typically, even though I'm partnering shopping, I'm mainly looking for the right size, right? Not the right look. But I'll still hold up a shirt every now and then. Hey, honey, what about this? And it's like, oh, thanks, Mom. No. And so that's kind of like what goes on, and that's fine. I just understand that, and I've learned a lot. They dress me. And so from that, we are watching. I'm always looking for other situations. Didn't have to look far for this at the next rack. There's a mother and a daughter, teenage mother and daughter, and the mom, same thing. Honey, what about this rainbow top? And all of a sudden you hear this, that's ridiculous. I would never wear that. And so we're like, So my daughter and I just kind of look at each other's eyes and look, and you don't say anything, right? You just look at each other and you've got that. So we ended up being in the line behind this same mother-daughter, which was such a great gift for me because, we had our little $10 items, our little, two $10 Forever 21 tops that were probably on sale. And in front of us, she has the one daughter has like $300 worth of things. We go up to the cash register and, she has this big bag and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that reinforcement, I'm in trouble because look how she acted and look what she got. But in the meantime, the daughter walked out, didn't say thank you. And the mom's kind of trailing behind. So when my daughter and I were walking in the mall separate, then I just said to her, hey, sweetie, what did you think about that mother-daughter, situation? So I didn't say to her, can you believe that, right? I asked, what did you think about that mother-daughter situation? And she said, oh my goodness, Mom, that was just unbelievable. I can't believe she spoke to her mom that way. And so my next question is others-based. Honey, how do you feel that mom felt? What do you think that mom was feeling? And then it goes deep with, thinking how that other person, she must have been really hurt and felt, used. And, oh my goodness, and start thinking about how the other person felt. So it takes it a little deeper from the behavior to the feeling of the other person. Just like at school, when you talk about reflecting at school, hey honey, how was your day? On the playground, you always want them to look for the child by themselves. Who's the new child? Who's the child by themselves? Who did you find today that you were able to go up and talk to? How do you think they felt as the new child? So you're reflecting, really getting them to start thinking about others. It's something that has to be trained. It's not a natural ability. We're all in agreement on that, right? Okay, so that is a little bit on reflecting, but we're going to... you're just going to incorporate these 4 R's with the different tips and manners that you decide to implement, if that makes any sense there, okay? All right, so we are in the home stretch, and we're going to look at some of our tips. Now, this is going home with you, that 3-page guide. Do you guys have it handy? We should have just one more space on the bottom of your worksheet. Do you guys have the shake system on the bottom of the worksheet? Okay, we're in the home stretch. Look at that. We're going to finish that worksheet. So with the next slide, this is under the Respecting Adults section of your 3-page tip guide. The Respecting Adults, that's the first page. I'm going to do a combo and combine those first 3 tips that you see. Do you see those 1 through 3? I'm going to combine that into this next shake system. So these are all very important, but I want you to just incorporate those on Respecting Adults. Ready to go? All right, so the shake system. This really is a lifelong skill because you will be training and teaching your kids how to interview and do all of those things someday, believe me. And this is how to interact with adults. When you look at number 1 on your Respecting Adults sheet, it talks about calling people by their proper names. It's important to us. We just never let our kids talk or just use a first name in that way, but always, if it was, it could be Miss Susan, if it's a very close friend, Miss Cindy, in that way, or just Mr. and Mrs. Tweed. But no matter what the adult says, we always, oh, well, thank you. We always like to use the proper name. So that's one thing that you're going to want to know. With this shake system, I want to incorporate number 3 as well, because children interrupting, and actually adults interrupting today, is just huge. So just want to give you an example of where you would use something like this, and it's really those interruptions which aren't okay. Something to rehearse, something to talk about. For me, it would be, let's say, on the church courtyard. So after we get out of main service, we get our kids out of kids club, there's donuts on the patio, and it's the perfect training ground with adults and kids, and things are happening everywhere. Well, I'm going to be talking to some adults that I haven't seen. I'll be interacting. And if my child dashes up and just crashes in the conversation, anyone had that? I had it a lot. Thank you. Thank you for your honesty. I saw that. Thank you. So when that happens, that's a no-go, and we're not going to feed into it and have any attention into that, right? So we are going to really make sure that you train them before, that when they come up on the patio and they see you, they put their hand on you or daddy. They just put their hand on you. There's no voice going on if I'm in a conversation. No voice, just their hand on you, and that's great. Guess what? I know they're there. I'm fully aware of it. I'm not looking at them. I completely know that they're there. And as reinforcement that I know they're there, I just put my hand on them because I love them so much, and I'm so thrilled they didn't say anything. So I just have my hand on them like this, and I allow the person to finish their thought. And as soon as that they complete their thought, I'm going to be able to say, oh, hey, sweetie. Now, if the person I was interacting with, they hadn't met, I'm going to say, this is Mrs. Turner. Mrs. Turner, this is Charlotte. And I'm going to interact like that. And then I'm going to say, what did you need, honey? So I'm going to take that number 1. And then I'm going to go into this shake system, which is just a way to greet adults, all right? But with that, if it's an emergency and they run up and it's an emergency, they are allowed to say, excuse me, Mom. That's fine. Excuse me, Mom. Now, second donut request is not an emergency, okay? So let's just be clear, that is not an emergency. We want to make sure what are emergencies, but and you can clarify that as you go. But just to have that not interrupting, not feeding the interruption, but just making sure that you know that they're there, and then ultimately the shake system. So with that, they're already standing, which is great. If they were sitting down for some reason, and an adult enters and they're going to them meet, like at your house, you would want the child to stand. That's just a respectful thing. Then there is the handshake. Now with the H, let's put a couple of timely things too. They can say hello, they can high five with their hand. If you have a rule in your house that, don't touch anybody, then don't, it's fine. But just give that hello. Let's just put hello, give that hello. The next one on there is answering questions. If you could train your child how to, the next one, K, keep focused and answer questions, because typically as adults, when you interact with them, like if you took your kids today out of Kids Bible Club, brought them into your leaders are going to ask them a question. That's going to happen. And it may be, oh, princess, what's your favorite color? Whatever. But you really want your child to be able to answer the question and keep focused and have eye contact. Eye contact establishes trust. You want your child to be looking at you and to be looking at others when people are talking to them, just like their teacher. Eye contact is a critical skill to learn. And then S, saying, nice to meet you. And that's if you had introduced them, in that way. What I like to add with the answering questions is asking questions. So I will often, I know that people love others that have interest in them. So when you ask questions of others, you're esteeming them. So if you have a question for your child that they could ask, that is, something that's very easy, like, oh, do you have children too? Something like, who knows what the question is. I've had kids ask me, what's your favorite princess? Because they do know that one of my daughters was a Disney princess, even though they all look like that. But it's, favorite color, whatever that is, you can definitely teach them how to ask questions, and that is really cool. And again, different ages and different stages. That's the shake system. On that page of Respecting Adults, hopefully you circled those, and there's so many on there that I would want you to use, and we don't have time today. In fact, really, Respecting Adults could be one. Parties and play dates and basic table manners, they could all be separate because they're so meaty. Took us 30 years to figure it all out. But again, you've got that guide for you to take home. On the next page, I'm just going to have you mark up it and the next one for a moment because we're just about to end, and I want to make sure that you've marked it so you look at it. The basic table manners one. Oh my goodness, guys, I love all of these so much. So let's just do number 2. No cell phones, no any of those things at the table. I know that iPad babysitters are, popular. So I'm old school, and I will be old school as a grandparent. I will be old school, and I'm hoping that soon. But what I will tell you is oranges and Cheerios. We did it with oranges and Cheerios, right? So again, infants are different, but if your child is in a high chair, in that way, just, consider not having that technology because really you don't want your kids with their cell phones. And I think our family table, none of that. And my daughters, even as they got older, noticed other families that were always doing that and not talking and interacting. These are precious times that you get in meals, and meals are a time to rehearse. So there are so many other things on there. Oh my goodness. I am going to tell you the one, which is the cotillion one, because all my kids went to cotillion, and I can't see which one it is right now, so sorry, but I'm just going to tell you. So at cotillion, one of the, I'm just going to save you $400 right here. One of the things is they give cookies out on a napkin. So they give the cookie out on the napkin. You are not allowed to bring the cookie to your mouth, right? Do not bring this food up to your mouth. What you do is you break off a piece, because when you break the piece off, where do the crumbs go, interactive crowd? On the napkin, and then not all down you and not on your floor. So same thing with bread. Tear off a piece of bread, butter it, that goes in your mouth. Though I've been known to take the whole roll if it's hot, I'm telling you. But so that is something for a basic table manner standpoint. You're also not supposed to bring your mouth down to your food unless it's the first birthday party and it's the cake and they've never had sugar, which was I loved that. So these basic table manners, take a peek. Again, sit with your husband. You can watch the YouTube. You guys sharing things that are on this worksheet with your husband will also make it go deeper into yourself in remembering what you learned today. It's kind of like reflecting in that sense. Last page is the party and play day essentials. I hit the birthday party pretty hard, so that's on here. But I've got all kinds of things on here for you that we did at birthday parties. I would look at the 5-minute rule, and number 11 and 12, I'd circle the 5-minute warning. Getting your child to disconnect from a play date or a party without fussing is really, really important. So you practicing and rehearsing when the 5-minute warning happens, this is what you're supposed to do. And then going to another second cotillion takeaway was thanking the host or hostess before they leave and making sure that they specifically thank them, not like just, thank you, Mrs. Joyelle, not just like that, but that cake was really good. Just a little something that they enjoyed from the party, right? I love the bubbles, whatever. So those I will let you look at on yourself because I'm out of time, but I do want to let you know that your table talk you're about to have will be incredibly valuable all semester long. Learning from moms, again, that are ahead on ages and stages. You guys are going to have so many tips and tricks at your own tables. And in fact, we're going to launch you into that questioning with a question up here in just a moment. But I just do want to encourage you, it's okay to be a mean mom. It is loving and it will absolutely pay off for you. And at the same time, you just have to pick and choose. Please don't fire hose your children. Please don't be stressed out about this and go home with your husband and children with a fire hose of information and feel overwhelmed, because then we have to have a whole nother topic on stress and anxiety for moms. So this is supposed to be something that will be fun. You take a tip a week at the appropriate age and stage and you implement it. And I want you to think about it as a slow drip irrigation system where you're just kind of watering your children's hearts little by little as they really start to get excited and you start to get some great results. So with that, I will leave you in your groups. Your question is about how you were raised and what type of etiquette and manners rules did you have in your home that you carried into your home now, or something that you're doing now in your home that is really working for you. So enjoy your group time. It is some of the best time you'll have all semester, and I will leave you leaders with asking that question. Thank you for your time today. I so appreciate it, and it's been great seeing you. Thank you.